Can you check and make sure they're rolling back there?
Make y'all time, just let me know when you're ready.
I'm ready, Chief, if everybody else is ready.
Vic, let me know.
Ready, stand by. Time on.
They rolling back there?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not too.
All right. I always like to start off by saying good morning, but to be honest with you, it's not a good morning in our city. We're in the 8,000 block of Dunlap. I'm sorry, I'm here with Chief Mir, HFD, Chief Satterwhite, Chief Bashir, and Commander Rodriguez. So as I was saying, it's not a good night here, good morning in Houston. We got a total of 4 individuals dead out here, which includes a shooting suspect. This facility out here is a multiple room renting facility. We had a question, was it a boarding house? It's not. The owner said they just rent rooms here. So approximately at 1:07 a.m., HFD and HPD had received multiple calls. One call came in as a person down, another call came in as a shooting, and also a fire call came in. This suspect, unfortunately, and very sadly and very evilly, set fire to several residents, laid wait for those residents to come out and fired upon them. And I'll go down on the individuals and approximately ages here in a second. But as HFD arrived first, as they prepared to fight the fire, the suspect began to fire. I don't know if he was firing in their direction, but they had to take cover. Shortly thereafter, an HPD officer arrived, spotted the suspect in the building, in the parking lot just across the street from this facility, in a prone position. It's an African-American male, approximately age 40. He was dressed in all black with a shotgun. Officer engaged. There are shell cases. He was armed with a shotgun, as I said. There was a spent casing, a shell, I meant to say, next to the suspect's body. I don't know if he actually fired right there, but the officer engaged and fired. That suspect is on the scene deceased. We have 2 other individuals on the scene deceased. They're both white males in their 60s. We have another African-American male that was approximately 40 years old, transported to the hospital, is deceased. Another male, approximately 40 to 50 years old, transported to the hospital with a injury of shot into his arm. I'm sorry. And another male that was running away, and he's injured, but very minor. He was not transported to the hospital. I want to say something, but you know, it's just sad what's going on in our nation, and I always ask for prayer, and I'm asking for prayer right now. All of these families, can you imagine? And some of them probably hadn't been notified just of yet. It's occurring at 1 o'clock in the morning, but please pray. And all our spiritual leaders in and around our city, and also outside our city, around our nation, let's pray. Let's pray. I've seen things that I haven't seen before in 32 years, and it's happened time and time again. And people ask the police chief and police leaders why, and what we don't even know why right now. But we just ask that the community come together. A little bit about the officer, and I'm so proud of him, and I'm so proud of the response from HFD, getting here, putting their lives on the line, really not knowing probably when they arrived that it's a shooting call. But our officer arrived and took action, and for that I'm very proud of him. He's a 7-year veteran out of the South Gessner Division, and again, as usual, per policy, he'll be put on administrative leave. The DA's office is out here investigating. We'll conduct our own IED administrative investigation. The criminal investigation is handled by homicide, our special investigative unit. So again, I'm just very proud of him to come in. Who knows that suspect probably would have tried to shoot somebody else. But I'm going to turn it over right quickly before we get to questions to Chief Mir and let him talk about what the fire department is going to do in part of their investigation. And then Commander Rodriguez will conduct the, Commander Rodriguez will translate for us in Spanish. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief Finner, and I'll follow Chief Finner's comments and say thank you to our firefighters and police officers who did an excellent job today. And again, this is an example of how every day they place their lives on the line to protect the citizens and property. And as our firefighters came in the crossfire and they retreated, they still focused their attention on possible victims inside the structure. And there were two that they were able to pull out, and there were a few who were transported as well. Our arson investigators are on scene to determine the cause of the fire. Our preliminary investigation does make it appear as if it is intentional, as Chief Finner said. We'll reserve remarks for the investigation to preserve the integrity of that. Again, I also ask for the community to pray for our first responders and for each other. And perhaps we can lift ourselves out of the chaos that we're living in today's trying times. Thanks.
Thanks.
Buenos días, mi nombre es Adrián Rodríguez, soy comandante de la estación de South Gessner. Hoy, esta mañana a las 1 de la mañana recibimos una llamada en el Dunlap, el 8020 Dunlap, de una persona que estaba caído. Y cuando respondió el oficial, llegó él con los bomberos, igualmente con ellos, y la casa estaba en llamas. Vio un sospechoso que tenía una escopeta y escuchó disparos también. Y hay 3 que están muertos ahorita, 2 aquí todavía con el sospechoso es 3 y 1 más en el hospital. Fue 4 personas al hospital, 2 al Bentub y 1 al Southwest y otro en el Memorial Hermann. El que fue el Bentub se falleció y todavía estamos investigando todo lo que está pasando ahorita porque hay muchas cosas que tenemos que hacer todavía, pero lo que dijimos a la ciudad de Houston es que por favor oran por las víctimas en esta situación porque es muy grave lo que pasó hoy y si hay unas preguntas pues va a preguntar, lo va a tener el jefe del policía de Finner y yo también puedo contestar unas preguntas. Gracias.
Thank you. Hey, just before we open up the questions, I want to say again, and I'm just sitting here thinking, I'm so proud of our first responders, our police and our fire, and especially those who work shift 3. Everybody is asleep, including me, and they're protecting us. And I just ask our public, when you see the men and women in uniform, if nothing else, thank them for their service, because I'm proud tonight. But go ahead, questions.
Can you give us the ages of the victims again?
It's going to be approximately age, okay. and I'll just run down them real quick, and we hadn't confirmed that. Black male, age 40, in his 40s, deceased. 2 white males in their 60s. Okay, the other individual that's transported to the hospital that's critical, he's going to be between 40 and 50. White male, I don't have that age, that was shot in the arm that was transported, and the suspect, we believe him to be an African-American male, age 40. Anybody else? Go ahead.
Yes, Chief. So we know that out of those that were deceased, 1 was the suspect. The other victims, whether they are deceased or are still injured, were they the residents in the neighborhood?
We believe, thanks for asking. Let me add this, and I don't like to speak prematurely too much, but we're told here at the scene that the suspect was recently notified of an eviction. He's been a long-time resident here, and that may have been a trigger point for him, I don't know, but that's part of the investigation. But everybody that was shot here, we believe at this moment, and it could change. It's early on in the investigation, but we do believe them to be residents here.
And this is a multi-unit rental property.
Yes.
Do we know how many people were in the house?
Multiple people. I think at least 5 or 6 additional individuals who wasn't hurt, but again, it's still an active scene.
And we understand
We just have that one shotgun right now, but as daylight hits in, we're going to still be out there processing the scene, but shotgun right now.
And can you repeat again, as soon as our firefighters got on scene, the suspect was just immediately open fired on them?
I'm not sure if he opened fire. He was discharging the firearms, okay? I don't know if he was shooting directly at him, but again, as daylight gets here, we'll be able to evaluate and look at the fire truck and see where bullets went. Okay?
While that was going on, firefighters still went in and were able to grab some of the
They had to take cover. They had to take cover, but once we took care of the suspect and made the scene safe, they were able to go in and they recovered bodies and a few bodies on the side. Okay.
Chief, can you help us understand better the timeline so that HFU get here first and then call for backup with HPD?
When calls come into dispatch, intake, what we call it, it's going to come to, if it's a shooting, it's going to come into both of us, and I think they came in at the same time, but there were multiple calls, and one was, I think, a person down and shooting calls, and then also the fire. So HFD did, in fact, get here first. So the calls came in just after 1 a.m.
But HPD was already on it.
Yes. Yeah. Anything else? Good.
Any prior, do we know if the suspect that's deceased has any prior history of mental issues? Or
We don't know. That's going to be a part of the investigation, and definitely we'll get that out to everybody as soon as we can. Okay?
One final question.
Go ahead.
All of the other victims who are not the suspect were shot by the suspect, not in like crossfire or anything like
We don't know right now. We believe that he was the only person shooting out here, but it's early on in the investigation, and I don't want to just say that, with verifying that right now. Just that's what we believe this time. One suspect shooting, and I know we had one officer discharged.
No
And is it-
officers, no firefighters?
No, ma'am.
And is it just men that live at this property? Or just the victims we know are men, but is it just...
I'm not sure that. We just know that they're all male victims, so it'll be part of the investigation.
And you mentioned that the suspect, quote, was evilly just kind of waiting for the people after, we are assuming, deliberately set the property on fire, just waiting for them to
Yes.
come out?
Yes. Yes. Thank y'all.
Thank you.
All right.